After the final slap, a black maid revealed an incredible secret that changed 100 lives forever. The opulent home of the Claytons shimmered under the warm glow of the summer sun. Laughter rang through the air, echoing off the marble walls, but behind each joyful sound lay a tension that Olivia could feel in her bones. She moved among the guests, a diligent maid dressed in crisp white, serving plates piled high with food, pouring drinks, keeping the smiles flowing. Yet, the weight of her reality pressed down on her heart like a heavy stone. As she cleared empty glasses, Olivia's ears perked up at heated words slicing through the cheerful murmur. "These people wouldn't last a day in our shoes." Margaret Clayton's voice was sharp, riddled with disdain. The sound of her condescending laughter rippled through Olivia, igniting a fire that had been smoldering for years. With every passing second, the tension escalated. Olivia felt the pull of her emotions threatening to break free. In that moment, everything shattered. A split second of silence met the resounding clap of Olivia's hand against Margaret's face, sending shockwaves through the room. Gasps punctured the air as time seemed to freeze. Olivia's heart pounded. The laughter of the reunion faded away, revealing the raw truth they had all been ignoring. "Enough." Olivia's voice cracked, holding the room in a grip of stunned silence. "I've had enough of the disrespect. You see me, you still don't see me." Her eyes filled with tears, but it was anger that fueled her words now. Each syllable dug deeper into the unyielding barrier of their social hierarchy. "Olivia, what have you done?" Margaret whispered, disbelief plastered on her face. But Olivia's gaze swept the room, feeling solace in the presence of her working-class friends who tirelessly supported her with their eyes. This was no longer just her battle, this was a fight for everyone who had endured indignity. "For years, I've taken care of this family as if you were my own," Olivia continued, her voice steadying as she surged with newfound strength. "But I have to tell you something. Something that changes everything." The crowd leaned in closer, anticipation hanging thick in the air as Olivia drew in a shaky breath. "I'm Evan's mother." The revelation hit the room like a lightning bolt. She had thrown open the door to a dark secret that had shaped her life. Loud whispers erupted, fraying the bonds of the Clayton family under the weight of her words. Who was she really, and how had they gone so long without knowing? Families began to reconsider their judgments, their perspectives shifting like sand caught in a tempest. It was more than just personal, it transcended to the very roots of class and privilege. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. With the room spinning out of control, Olivia held her ground. The air was thick with questions, her secret unleashing waves of thought and examination beneath the surface of Willow Creek. What did it mean to belong, to claim a rightful place? Beyond feelings of betrayal and confusion, a sense of unity began to flicker in the background. At that moment, Olivia stood transformed. She was not just a maid, she was a mother and a voice for many. Would she finally find acceptance as she embraced all that she had once hidden? And in the wake of the chaos, what lay ahead for her and the new narrative of Willow Creek? The promise of change loomed large, the journey just beginning, and the hearts of many beat quicker with anticipation of what was to come. The silence in the room was deafening. Time hung suspended, as Olivia's heart raced. She stood in the center of a storm, the air thick with shock and disbelief. The expressions around her shifted from horror to intrigue, and she could almost see the gears turning in their minds. Questions. Doubts. Confusion. It was a kaleidoscope of emotions washing over the crowd, and for once, she felt in control. "Olivia, you can't be serious," a voice trembled. It came from Jason, Margaret's husband, his brow furrowed in confusion, as if the very foundation of his reality had just cracked. "I am Evan's mother," she repeated, raising her chin defiantly. "He is my son. My flesh and blood. You may have never known, but I've fought for him every single day. You think you got everything, but let me tell you. I have sacrificed everything." Gasps intertwined with murmurs. The room shifted from disbelief to a burgeoning curiosity, something Olivia hadn't expected but desperately hoped for. Could this finally be her moment of liberation, not just for herself but for everyone who had shared her struggles? Margaret sniffed, her haughty demeanor faltering. "That doesn't make sense. You worked for us. I worked for you while raising him." Olivia shot back, her voice gaining momentum. "You think I didn't feel the sting of your judgment? Every day I laughed with your children, I wiped their tears, while I hid my own under the weight of secrets." A ripple of awareness washed over the other employees in the room. Their eyes sparkled with a mix of pride and recognition. Someone stepped forward. Tara, the housekeeper from 2 doors down. "Olivia, you've always had a voice. We've all been silent too long." "Yes. We've let them think we're invisible." Another echoed, emboldened by Tara's support. Margaret's face turned a shade paler, and she stumbled backward, colliding with her husband. "You can't mean that. This is absurd. My children, they should not be within a. Do you see how quickly they've turned against you?" Olivia interrupted, feeling the power of the moment rushing through her veins. "It's time we redefine what belonging means. This isn't solely about you or me, but the entire community of Willow Creek." The true gravity of her words settled among the guests, each person contemplating their own role in this twisted tale. Olivia could feel the tempo of the discussion pick up, the movements between guests filled with a new purpose. Amidst the shifting allegiances, the tension sparked vivid connections, creating waves of camaraderie that no one could have predicted. This was the thread that began weaving a tapestry of solidarity so desperately needed. "Things need to change," Olivia said, her voice softer but firm. "We need to talk, to understand each other. Only then can we truly belong." But as faces softened and clarity peeked through their shock, Olivia's mind raced with questions of her own. What would change look like? Would they all embrace this unity? Or would some cling to their old ideas with stubbornness? The challenges ahead loomed large, and though hope flickered in their eyes, uncertainty thrummed in the air. Olivia sensed that her revelation was just the beginning. As she stood tall, a sense of determination mingled with trepidation settled inside her. What kind of world could they build if they all chose to stand together? And yet, she couldn't ignore the heavy silence that accompanied the fear of the unknown. Were they ready for this truth? As chaos faded into contemplation, a question echoed in her mind: how would they define their future from this moment forward? Olivia clenched her fists, feeling the spark of change ignite deeper within her. The room, buzzing with tension, had become a fragile tapestry of possibilities. Each whispered conversation around her felt like stepping stones toward a new future. The murmur of voices crashed and flowed like waves, with every statement an echo of support and defiance against the familiar norms that had kept them all bound. "Does anyone really believe we can go back?" Tara's voice rose above the crowd now. Her eyes darted between familiar faces, seeking and offering solidarity. "We can't pretend these truths don't exist anymore. We've been doormats long enough." "Exactly." Another voice shouted from the back, an unlikely ally stepping forward. It was Leslie, the quiet librarian, usually content to blend into the background. "We've all felt this pressure, this weight. Aren't we tired of living in the shadows?" With each passing moment, more voices joined in. It felt like a dam had burst, and the rush of realization swept through the crowd. Olivia's heart swelled. They were awakening, confronting the past and casting aside old labels. To witness this upheaval sent shivers of hope glancing through her spirit. But will it matter? Margaret's voice trembled, tinged with fear. What's the point of all this talk? You think words can change the world? Olivia stepped closer, eyes locking onto Margaret's, her heart thundering with emotion. Words connect us, Margaret. They can heal or hurt, embolden or belittle. But actions? Actions are what truly define us. If anything, she could feel the weight of her words carving new paths. The fear that weighed heavily on the community's shoulders began to lift, if only slightly. Maybe this collective outpouring, this shared history, was what they needed to heal together. The mood in the room shifted once more when a young voice piped up. It was Evan, cautiously stepping forward from the group of children, his small frame barely visible amidst the adults. Mom? Are we going to be okay? Like, really okay? Olivia's heart squeezed at the innocence in his tone. He didn't understand the gravity fully, yet his simple question pulled at every adult's heartstrings. She knelt to his level, cupping his cheeks in her hands. Yes, sweetheart. We're going to figure this out together. This is just the first step. The crowd began to murmur again, faces lighting with newfound determination. How many of them had felt the sharp edges of invisibility? Their lives had been intertwined but separated by walls built from fear and prejudice. Perhaps this was the moment to dismantle those barriers and forge something brand new. Jason, whose earlier disbelief had turned into contemplation, finally spoke. But how? How do we start? A flicker of hope lingered in his eyes, a longing for a better world evident in his tone. By being honest. By listening and embracing our differences instead of fearing them. Olivia stood tall, emboldened by Evan's innocent inquiry and the support swelling around her. We come together, let our stories shape us. Willow Creek can transform from a place of divide into a community of unity. Cheers erupted in the room, a wave of sound that rose like a tide of solidarity. Each voice added layers to a growing chorus of hope, but as the excitement spread, so did uncertainty. Olivia felt the familiar dread in her stomach as the thought of pushing through to a new world took root. Would they all have the courage to follow through? And just as the celebration built, Evan tugged at her sleeve again, his eyes serious. What if they don't want to change? Her breath caught. There it was, the very shadow of doubt she feared. Would Margaret and those like her cling to the past? Olivia looked into Evan's eyes, a mirror of hope and innocence, and wondered was she ready for the challenges that lay ahead? The question hung there, long after the cheers had faded, filling the air with an uncomfortable tension once more. How much would they truly be willing to fight for together? The energy in the hall shifted, morphing from excitement to hesitation. A thick silence enveloped the room as faces turned toward Olivia, seeking assurance that she might not even have. She could feel her heart race against the weight of their collective uncertainty. What if they don't want to change? Evan's question hung heavily over them all like a dark cloud, threatening to overshadow their hard-won bravery. It pierced through Olivia's resolve, exposing every little crack in the confidence she tried to project. Sometimes, change feels like a storm, doesn't it? She said, her voice steady despite the trembling inside her. We can't control how others choose to respond. All we can do is stand firm in what we believe. Margaret's eyes softened slightly, as if she were wrestling with a decision only she could make. Olivia noticed a flicker of something curiosity. It made her heart beat a little lighter. Maybe, just maybe, there was hope even in the shadows of doubt. One person began to clap, a slow, tentative sound that echoed in the hush. Then, another joined in, and soon the initial clapping evolved into a booming rhythm like a heartbeat reverberating through the room. Olivia took a deep breath, riding that wave of sound, letting it wash over her. It was a call to action, a promise of connection through unity. Let us not focus on what hasn't changed, Tara interjected, her tone suddenly fierce. Let us focus on what can change. We're here, aren't we? Together. That counts for something. We have power. Leslie nodded, stepping forward again. We have stories. Let us share them. Our pain, our joy, every single thing that has shaped us. That is how we start to change minds. Olivia felt the surge of determination pulse through the crowd. Heartwarming expressions collided with anxious skepticism, but the air began to vibrate with the spark of possibility. She could sense vulnerability unraveling, a willingness to step into the light. One story at a time. Evan shifted closer to her, and she wrapped an arm around him, drawing him close. "Tell your story, Mom," he urged softly, looking up at her with wide, earnest eyes. "Show everyone how brave you are." "All right," Olivia smiled, her heart fluttering. She felt the warmth of encouragement surrounding her as she stood taller. "But I'm not just talking about my story, I want to hear yours too." And so, with her pulse quickening, she began. "I was afraid, just like most of you. Afraid of judgment, afraid of rejection. It took a long time for me to stand tall and say, this is who I am. I hurt when I saw others feel small and invisible. But each time someone shared their struggles or triumphs, I felt connected. We all have stories that intertwine like the branches of trees reaching for the sky." In that moment, she felt a shift. They were no longer just voices in a room, they were a community forging bonds in vulnerability and shared experience. Faces turned toward her, willing to share their truths. I remember when Jason started, and then Tara joined in, bursting forth with her own story. One by one, they began to peel back the layers of their lives, sharing laughter, tears, and revelations that grew more profound with each voice. The room filled with stories that hadn't been told before, a tapestry of life experiences suddenly woven together. With every tale shared, Olivia found herself on a roller coaster of emotions. Joy and sadness mingled in an exhilarating dance, illuminating the beauty of their collective humanity. Slowly, the feeling of dread in her stomach faded, replaced with a sense of unity, a heartbeat echoing their resolve for change. Yet, what thrilled Olivia most was the way the room transformed. Friends and neighbors, once mere acquaintances, became allies. The laugh lines on their faces deepened, the frowns lessened, all shades of hope blossomed in unexpected places. But just as they rallied around one another, letting the warmth of their gathering bolster their spirits, a voice broke through the tender mood. It was Margaret again. "But what about those who are against us? What do we do when they push back?" Olivia felt the heaviness of the question seep back in. The joyous momentum happening was fragile, and the challenge laid ahead felt daunting once more. Would they have the courage to confront resistance? The room grew still again, vulnerability thick in the air. Olivia pushed back the surge of anxiety and looked around. "We find strength in one another. We show them that love can overcome hate. If we truly want to change our world, we must be brave enough to meet them where they are." Their journey felt far from over. Olivia sensed this was just the beginning. With every shared story, they were constructing a bridge, but how long would it take to cross? What obstacles lay ahead? The unshakable weight of uncertainty returned, clawing at her resolve. Would they take the next step, even with fear lingering in the air? As silence descended again, deep down, she felt something greater stirring. Was it courage? Hope? Both? That flicker was undeniable, and among the unlikely allies gathering strength, it was time to find out what would become of Willow Creek. The tension in the air felt nearly tangible as Olivia surveyed the faces before her. Her heart raced, not only from the weight of Margaret's question but from the newfound bond that now hummed in the room. There was fear, yes, but there was also something electric: growth, potential, and a shared desire for change that felt almost like a wave ready to crest. "Margaret's right," Jason said, breaking the silence. "We can't just ignore the pushback. It's real, and it's coming. We need a plan." Nods rippled through the crowd. Olivia could see the determination written on their faces, a recognition that they were in this together. This wasn't merely a gathering, it was a movement. The energy shifted again, solidifying their resolve. "Let us break into groups," Tara suggested, her eyes sparkling with intensity. We can brainstorm how we make ourselves heard, how we create platforms for our voices, and, yes, how we face opposition. The idea resonated deeply, like a drumbeat igniting a fire within the hall. Olivia felt a rush of hope as pairs and small clusters formed, individuals leaning closer to one another, their voices growing more animated. They were ready to confront this storm together. As she looked around, Olivia noticed Evan was still at her side, eyes wide with curiosity. "Can I help?" he asked, his voice a hopeful whisper. "Of course you can, sweetheart. You have ideas, right?" He nodded, his excitement bubbling beneath the surface. "What if we make signs? People love signs." With a chuckle, Olivia felt her heart swell. "Yes. That's a great idea. We can use them to spread our message around town." Evan beamed. He genuinely believed in this, and his enthusiasm filled her with warmth. They began jotting down ideas for signs, slogans, and visuals that might capture the community's attention. Around the room, people were beginning to share creative concepts too. Margaret and Leslie were sketching plans for an open mic night, where stories could be shared in public, honest, and bold. Jason suggested a series of videos highlighting personal journeys, to be shared on social media. The feeling was contagious, and Olivia found herself propelled into action. Each new idea felt like building a staircase toward something monumental. They would not only face the resistance, they would bring the fight into the light, showcase their truth, and encourage even more voices to join. But just as hope began to crystallize before their eyes, another voice chimed in. "What if we fail?" It was a soft-spoken woman, her gaze cast downward. "It feels scary," another added. "What if none of it works?" The air grew a little heavier again. Olivia felt the fear rising in her chest. She hesitated. She knew how easy it could be to circle back into doubt, but this was their moment to set fear to the side. "Every time we take a step forward, we're making a difference," Olivia replied gently but firmly. "Even if it feels small or uncertain, we are building something that can't be taken away. Each of you matter. Your voices matter. We will find strength in our connection." As she spoke, she could feel a stirring in her own heart, a reassurance that this was their strength, their truth, even amidst the fear. "Let us be brave together," she implored, locking eyes with that hesitant woman. "We'll face whatever comes our way, as a united front." The surrounding murmurs began to shift again, growing more positive. Hope shimmered around them, like sunlight peeking through clouds. Just then, a sudden crash came from the door as it swung open. The crowd turned, startled. In walked Mr. Grayson, the town's longtime mayor, wearing an expression that rendered them all speechless. "What is going on in here?" he asked, his tone unreadable as he scanned the room filled with energy and anticipation. The heartbeat of uncertainty quickened again as anticipation hung thick in the air. Was this an opportunity or the beginning of conflict? Olivia felt her stomach twist. Would they speak their truth or retreat in the presence of authority? Now, anything can happen, she thought, unsure if it was a whisper of dread or a flicker of courage igniting once more. How would they respond? Tension rippled through the air, thick and heavy. The murmurs of anticipation turned into hushed whispers as Mr. Grayson stepped further into the room. His presence loomed large, an embodiment of authority. Olivia caught the eyes of those around her. Some looked nervous, fidgeting with their hands. Others stood resolute, unwilling to be intimidated. She felt her heart race, every beat a resounding call to act. "Mr. Grayson, we're just discussing some ideas for community awareness," Olivia said, her voice steady, despite the trembling beneath it. "We want our voices to be heard." The mayor crossed his arms, scrutinizing her as if trying to gauge her resolve. "And who exactly is we?" he challenged, his brows furrowing. "What's this about community awareness?" A hush fell over the room, and Olivia could hear the soft shuffle of feet as everyone leaned in. It was now or never. She took a deep breath and stepped forward. "We're a group of people who believe in change, Mr. Grayson. We're tired of remaining silent and letting others call all the shots. We want to be part of the conversation." His expression softened just a fraction, a crack in the facade of authority. "You think a few signs and videos are going to make a difference? This town isn't built on words." An electric charge filled the air, and Olivia could see the faces around her were not faltering. Confidence seeped back into the atmosphere. "Maybe not," she said, meeting his gaze head-on. "But words are the beginning. If we can start to speak out, we can inspire action." Murrows of surprise spread through the group, a awakening of collective belief. Gavin, a quiet guy from the back, chimed in. "What if it's more than just words? What if it's about understanding? About fostering real connections?" "Exactly," Tara exclaimed, stepping beside Olivia. "We want to encourage people to tell their stories, to share their experiences. It's about building bridges." The mayor's stance began to shift. Olivia could see the wheels turning in his mind. It was a long shot, but maybe there was a spark of interest igniting in his eyes. "You really believe this can matter?" he asked, searching for sincerity. "Yes," Evan shouted, his youthful enthusiasm breaking through the tension. "People need to know they're not alone. I've seen how my mom helps others in our neighborhood. If we focus on community, we can make change happen." The room erupted in quiet applause, the energy transforming. Olivia felt hope wrap around them like a blanket. If they could get the mayor on their side, well, that could change everything. But Mr. Grayson remained cautious, folding his arms tighter. "All right, let's say I'm interested. What's your first move? Just signs?" He paused for effect. That won't impress anyone in power. In that moment, Olivia sensed a shift was within reach. What if we invited the town to a community forum? An open discussion where everyone's citizens and officials can speak and share ideas? Excitement buzzed through the crowd, as beaming faces turned toward her. "Yes," Margaret called out. "It can't just be signs, it needs to be personal. It's about real dialogue." The mayor raised an eyebrow, clearly intrigued but unsure. "You're asking for a lot. Getting a forum approved is a tough process. But it starts with you, Mr. Grayson," Tara added, leaning forward. "You could be the one leading this initiative." Olivia felt a flutter of hope. Imagine what could happen if we begin to connect. We could change the narrative in our town. And just as it seemed they might make progress, Mr. Grayson's phone buzzed loudly, cutting through the moment. He glanced down, the light of the screen casting shadows on his face. Olivia could see his expression morph into concern. "I have to take this." As he stepped away, the room held its breath again. They had almost swayed him, but what would come next? Once more, Olivia felt a knot tighten in her stomach. Would this chance slip away? Yet, deep down, she could still hear the lingering echo of possibility, the whisper of change waiting to be unleashed. Could they regroup and press on without him, or would the momentum die here? A path to their future lay before them, but they had to decide quickly. Olivia's heart raced with the urgency of their cause. What would happen next? Would the mayor return, or would they have to push forward without his blessing? Olivia's heart was pounding. The room felt like a pressure cooker, the faces of her friends sealed with anticipation. She glanced at the mayor, who had turned his back to them, almost hidden by the screen of his phone. What now? Can we afford to lose this momentum? Evan whispered, anxiety glimmering in his eyes. He'll come back, Tara said, though the uncertainty in her voice betrayed her confidence. He has to. A heavy silence loomed as they waited, each second stretching to eternity. Olivia wanted to scream, to shake the mayor's shoulders and demand his attention right now. But instead, she turned to the group. We need to keep the energy alive. Maybe we should brainstorm our ideas for the forum while we wait? Great idea, Gavin said, snapping back to focus. Let us talk about what we do want to accomplish. Who should we invite? The schools, Tara said, her eyes lighting up. They are the heart of this community. Students have voices too, and they often go unheard. Churches and local businesses, Olivia added, leaning into the enthusiasm building around them. If we could get them on board, that would give us more credibility. Maybe even local artists, Evan suggested, his optimism igniting the room. They can bring creativity to the table and inspire more people to join us. Their voices rose, overlapping in excitement. Ideas began to swirl, filling the air with possible connections bridging gaps between generations, industries, and perspectives. Olivia's heart soared, she tapped into the energy radiating from the group, soaking it all in. But just then, the mayor returned, still glancing at his phone, his face a mask of determination. I can grant you a meeting to discuss this forum. But we need to keep it realistic. He looked up, catching Olivia's eye. Don't get your hopes too high. It won't be as easy as it sounds. A start is all we need, Olivia replied, meeting his gaze with unyielding determination. This is about more than just a meeting, it's about connection and real change. Mr. Grayson hesitated before speaking again. You young people often idealize these things. There's risk involved. It could backfire. Risk brings growth, Tara countered, her voice steady. We can't let fear hold us back. Change is messy and complicated, but it's necessary. I'm glad to see this passion, he said finally, his tone softer. But I still have my doubts. You understand that this can't be just talk, right? Exactly. Olivia felt it bubbling within her. This isn't just talk. This is about action. We want to create something that lasts, something that makes a real impact in our community. The mayor paused, a flicker of respect passing across his face. Then bring me a solid plan, something I can present to the town council. You have my ear for now, but you'll need more than just a good idea to move forward. Thank you, Mr. Grayson, Olivia said, her eagerness spilling into her words. We won't let you down. As they began to outline their plan, Olivia's pulse quickened with possibility. The energy in the room was palpable, a blend of hope and determination. They were doing this. They were going to fight for their town and make their voices heard, but just when they were about to launch into specifics, the lights flickered ominously. The overhead ceiling buzzed, and a low rumble reverberated through the building, cutting their excitement short. The growing sound echoed like a warning, flooding the room with unease. Is it a storm? Margaret asked, glancing nervously at the windows. No weather warnings were announced, Mr. Grayson said, his brows knitting together. The room trembled slightly, and the atmosphere shifted quickly from anticipation to confusion. What's happening? Tara's voice trembled slightly, the thrill of progress replaced with worry. Olivia's heart raced again, but this time it felt like fear mixed with an electric thrill. Something is coming, she thought, and it might change everything. They needed to prepare for whatever lay ahead, not just for the forum, but for an unexpected storm, both literal and metaphorical. What could this foreboding shake-up mean for their plans? The tension hung heavy, as they waited for an answer, both to the quaking building and to the winds of change waiting just outside. Would their momentum carry them through this uncertainty, or would it dash their hopes in a moment of crisis? The walls vibrated again, sending chills down Olivia's spine. Something was amiss, something beyond their control. She shifted her weight, glancing at her friends' worried faces, each mirroring her own unease. The air felt thick and charged, as if a storm were brewing, not just outside but within them as well. Is everyone all right? Tara asked, her voice barely above a whisper. There was a collective nod, but Olivia could see the subtle tremors in their hands, the way their eyes darted nervously around the room. "Let us not lose focus," Gavin said, trying to sound hopeful. "We have a meeting with the mayor. We need to prepare." But even he was struggling to keep anxiety at bay. Just then, the lights flickered again, and someone gasped as the screen at the front of the room malfunctioned, displaying random images before going dark. It felt like a sign one they should heed. "Maybe we should step outside?" Olivia suggested, knowing they needed fresh air. "Clear our heads a bit?" One by one, they nodded, relief mingling with fear. The group shuffled to the door, Mr. Grayson leading the way. Outside, a brisk wind greeted them, carrying the unmistakable scent of rain. Overhead, dark clouds churned ominously against the deepening twilight. "Look!" Margaret pointed up to the distant horizon where a storm was swirling a mass of dark grays and blues, a stark contrast to the hazy glow of their small town. "That looks bad." "Even if it's bad weather, we can't let it stop us," Olivia said, trying to sound brave. But deep inside, doubt bubbled. They had fought so hard for this moment. Would it slip away like sand through their fingers? They huddled together, forming a tight circle, all of them aware of the stakes. Gavin cleared his throat. "Let us remind ourselves why we're doing this. We want to bring change. We want our voices heard." "Yes," Tara replied, her spirit reigniting. "Let us focus on what we can control. The storm can't drown out our energy." As they brainstormed, the wind picked up strength, rustling leaves fiercely, mirroring the fierce determination in their voices. They began to jot down ideas for their forum, what topics they should cover, what questions they wanted to ask the community. Ideas mingled with laughter, each suggestion pulling them closer together, creating a shield against their fears. Suddenly, a loud crash echoed, closely followed by a blinding flash of lightning. It split the sky, illuminating the dark clouds for a fleeting moment. The thunder rumbled like a warning bell, and they all jumped, adrenaline surging. "What was that?" Evan exclaimed, looking wide-eyed at the group. "Just lightning," Olivia said, though her own heart raced faster. "We need to finish up and get back inside." She pointed to the building, feeling an urgent need for shelter. As they turned back, they heard a faint cry among the thrumming rain and wind. It wasn't just the storm, this was something more, a sound of distress. It resonated through the air, pulling at Olivia's heartstrings. "Did you hear that?" Tara's face paled as she scanned the environment, her voice tinged with concern. "It sounds like it's south coming from the park," Gavin said, instinctively stepping closer to Olivia. "What if someone needs help?" "Stay together," Mr. Grayson ordered, his tone more commanding than before. They moved cautiously, hearts pounding and breath held, uncertainty spilling over into panic. As they approached the park, the cries grew louder. And before them, in the dim light, they saw a scene unfolding, a figure crouched on the ground, soaked to the bone. Olivia's stomach twisted as she recognized her, an old acquaintance who had once been part of their community's fabric but had faded away. "Emma?" Olivia called, her heart dropping at the sight of her friend, lost and alone. The moment hung in the air, charged with uncertainty and dread. What had happened to Emma? And what secrets were about to be unveiled in the heart of this storm? Just as she took a step forward, the wind howled, and Olivia knew they were on the brink of something life-altering, something that would test their resolve and reforge their community ties in ways they never expected. What would they uncover in this storm? "Olivia." Emma's voice was scarcely a whisper, barely cutting through the chaos of the storm. She looked up, eyes wide and glistening, as raindrops mingled with tears on her cheeks. A mixture of relief and fear washed over Olivia, and her heart urged her to rush forward. "What happened? Are you okay?" Olivia crouched down to be on Emma's level, her voice trembling with concern. Emma shook her head slowly. I didn't know where else to go. I thought I could find safety here, but I just got caught in the storm." The others moved closer, forming a protective circle around Emma. Olivia could feel the weight of their worry, this instant transforming from a typical meeting into a defining moment for all of them. "Can you stand?" Gavin asked gently. He extended his hand, and Emma took it, pulling herself up shakily. The moment her feet found solid ground, Olivia could see the bruises beneath Emma's rain-soaked clothes, marks of turmoil that hinted at deeper struggles. "What's going on, Emma?" Tara pressed, her voice steady despite the thunder rumbling in the sky. "We want to help you. Please tell us." Emma inhaled deeply, her breath shaky. "It's my family. Things have been hard. I thought I could manage on my own, but I was wrong." She glanced at the ground, unable to meet their eyes. "I couldn't take it anymore. I didn't want to burden anyone with my problems, but now I see I can't keep pretending everything's fine." Olivia's heart ached. This was more than just a physical storm, it was a metaphor for the struggles hidden under the surface of countless lives around them. She reached out and placed a comforting hand on Emma's arm. "You're not alone anymore. We can figure this out together." Tears glistened in Emma's eyes, and for a moment, Olivia could see a flicker of hope igniting there. Suddenly, a deafening crack of thunder echoed, and they all jumped again. The storm intensified, swirling around them in a chaotic frenzy. But Olivia felt a warmth spreading within her. They were about to uncover something deeper than just Emma's struggles. "What do you need from us?" Gavin asked, resolute. Emma hesitated. "I need a place to stay, a safe space until things settle down. I don't want to run away anymore." Her voice broke, desperation creeping in. "Can you help me?" There was a tense silence. The group exchanged looks, weighing the gravity of their new reality. This wasn't just about their meeting with the mayor anymore, it was about community and support. "We can make it work," Tara volunteered. "We'll figure it out. We're all in this together, right?" "Absolutely," Mr. Grayson nodded. The uncharacteristic resolve in his voice surprised them. Change was electrifying the air, binding them together stronger than the storm ever could. As they prepared to create a plan, Olivia thought about the hundreds of lives they aimed to touch with their forum. Maybe this was the first step, a real-life testament to the change they wished to inspire. Emma's plight had shown them a raw truth: sometimes change comes from the most unexpected places, but just then, a blinding flash lit up the sky, and for a split second, Olivia felt the air shift. In that moment, a dark silhouette emerged from behind the trees, watching them intently. "Who's there?" she called out, feeling a shiver run down her spine. The group tensed, whispering among themselves, each sharing the collective unease as the figure stepped closer. What new secrets lay uncovered in the depths of this storm? As the storm raged on, Olivia felt they were teetering on the edge of something monumental, a revelation that could change everything. The tempest howled like a wild animal, rain pouring down around them. The shadows danced, and Olivia felt fear grip her heart as she squinted into the darkness. The figure stepped forward, revealing a familiar face through the sheets of rain. It was Marcus, a long-lost friend who once held a place in their community but had become a distant memory. "Marcus?" Olivia called out, both shocked and concerned. "What are you doing here?" As he emerged from the shadows, they could see the weight of the storm mirrored in his worn features. His clothes were soaked, and his eyes sparked with a desperate urgency. I heard you were gathering," he said, catching his breath. "I couldn't stay away. I need your help too." Her heart ached at the sight of him. "What has happened?" "Things have been rough. I lost my job. My family doesn't understand. I tried to reach out, but I didn't want to burden anyone," he stammered, looking down in shame. A collective gasp rippled through the group. This storm was no longer just a natural disaster, it was exposing the cracks in their foundation, the struggles of a community long hidden beneath a facade of normalcy. "Marcus, you're never a burden," Tara stepped forward, her voice fierce. We're all here to support each other. This is the moment we change that thinking. The light around them felt electric, a newfound understanding transforming the air. Olivia nodded, feeling the unity settle in her bones. You can stay with me until things get better. We'll figure it out together. As rain cascaded around them, there was a breakthrough moment. Emma joined Marcus, the two of them standing shoulder to shoulder, both vulnerable yet strong. There was an unspoken bond forming between them, forged out of the chaos. Each person in the gathering had shared burdens, and for the first time, it was clear, they were all connected. I know it's scary, Olivia said, addressing the group, but this isn't just about us anymore. This storm is a call to action. We can't let fear dictate our future. Evan looked at her with wide eyes. Can we help everyone? We can, Olivia affirmed, realizing that this moment had the potential to reshape everything. We have each other, and that is power. We need to take these at-risk lives like Marcus and Emma and show the world that we stand together. As the wind howled, it felt like the universe itself was rallying behind them. The chaotic storm mirrored their inner turmoil but also their burgeoning strength. Everyone around her began to nod, faces lighting up with hope. This was more than just an immediate response to a situation, this was a revolution of care, compassion and real community. Let us gather stories and create a shared project, Tara suggested. We can document our experiences, share our journeys, and truly shed light on the issues that we face together. This is the moment where we reclaim our voices, shouted Jason. It starts with us rooting for each other. In that instant, Olivia knew they wouldn't go back to hiding. The storm had compounded their fears but simultaneously solidified their resolve. They were no longer isolated lives, they had become a chorus of shared experiences, fighting against the gloom. We'll host the forum, Marcus said, a hint of determination entering his voice. And we'll make sure to invite everyone, not just those who've always been heard. Everyone, from the marginalized to the unheard, would have their place at the table for this conversation. They would not only be seen, but they would also be felt. Exactly. Olivia beamed. If we step out into the world and share who we are, not only will we ignite change, but we will inspire others trapped in their storms. As the rain began to taper off, a radiant light broke through the clouds above them, a glimmer of hope reflecting off the puddles at their feet. Their plan solidified, and one by one, each person in that circle pledged their commitment to one another. They would fight for their community, for each person who felt lost in the shadows, and for the right to feel valued. Atlas smiled down upon them, a newfound confidence imbued with purpose lifting them from despair. Together, they were a force, a power that the storm could not wash away. Embracing one another, they understood this could be the start of something bigger, a lasting change that would ripple through not just Willow Creek but beyond. They were united, empowered, a community refusing to be defined by their past, ready to rewrite their story as one. In that moment, Olivia whispered, "Let us get to work," her voice both a promise and a battle cry. The journey toward change was just beginning, but they had a mission now. One that would bring them together and transform lives forever, their own and others. As they walked back towards the building, ready to fight the battles ahead, a profound calm settled in their hearts. Onward they moved, stronger than ever, knowing they could unleash the power of connection, together. Now, this is the moment to show your support. You need to subscribe to the channel immediately to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and keep this movement alive. Comment your reactions and feelings about this powerful ending, and share instantly this story with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait not even one more second. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.